If there's anything that you think as we start the call that you need, then use that chat function, and I'm here to answer any questions that you've got. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Kim and Andy. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to our Strategic Proposals Spring webinar. Today we will be discussing how to use video in your proposals to great effect. As a graphic designer working for Strategic Proposals for over 10 years now, we've always looked for new ways to help communicate and tell stories. One of the ways we have explored further is the use of video, and there's lots of reasons why we've chosen this format. Here are some of them. Most social media platforms allow you to post stories, therefore instantly reaching your audience. With the advent of technology, video has become much easier to create and cheap. Using our smart devices has allowed us to quickly do this and also to edit them at the same time. They can also enable you to answer specific questions your customers may have. Technology has now made it much easier to take videos and also to watch videos. 94% of business people say using video has helped increase user understanding of a product or service. 59% of executives agree that if both text and video are available on the same topic, they are more likely to choose video. One area where we found video to be very useful is in the executive summary. Typically this would be in a Word file or a PDF. Using video to send a personal message to your audience is by far a more personal way of doing this. The face-to-face contact, the hearing the actual voice, the sound, the visuals is a very impactful way of doing this. It definitely creates a more personal experience for the person, the recipient. Case studies, a testimonial from a client describing all the great benefits they've recently achieved from using your service. Graphs and stats and figures could also appear on screen to pull out any key figures. Meet the team, a great way for team members to personally introduce themselves to their audience. The solution, possibly one of the most important parts of any bid, and at the same time one which is quite challenging to describe. Using video, we can use techniques to bring a solution diagram to life. Things can move, we can add sound, it can be applied to an existing graphic, or it can be a completely new graphic. To speak about this further, I'd now like to hand over to my colleague Andy Walker.
Thanks, Kim. Hi, my name's Andy Walker and I'm a design and document manager at Strategic Proposals. I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about how to create a simple, effective video that you can use to lift your proposals. All you'll need is a camera. That could be a phone camera or the camera in your laptop, and a PC or Mac with PowerPoint installed. Other nice to haves are a microphone, a good microphone that you can plug into your phone or your laptop, and some lighting, and these can really sort of lift a dull video. Also a tripod or a phone stand would be good as well. So let's imagine we've got our response, it's finished, it's looking good, and all the questions are being answered and being answered well, so we're in with a shout. It's an online response, so we don't have to send it off to print, but that's just the problem sometimes. It looks a bit like a printed response. So it's a bit flat, it's nothing new, so why not inject a bit of personality into that? The solution's really good maybe, so why not use that? Sometimes it's really difficult to put across a good solution in a static diagram. So why not use the solution and create a video? Why not get somebody from the organisation who's good at presenting to present that solution overview, use a bit of animation, create a video, and insert that into the bid when you PDF. So I'm going to swing around now and open up PowerPoint on my computer and show you how we can use a simple solution overview with a bit of a voiceover video of somebody talking and really bring that to life. Okay, so here's our solution as it would appear in a static document, in our Word document. It's okay, it's pretty good, it's quite clean, a clean diagram. It explains what it needs to explain, but it's, you know, it's not easy to decipher like this, and it's just a tiny bit flat. So what I've got on the next slide is I've made it slightly more screen friendly, and I've animated it, and there's some bits blocked off here because of the animation, but I'll just quickly go through and show you what that looks like. So we've got the users here, into the database and the cloud platform above, and then we bring in each element, and the idea is to bring in each element obviously while we talk to it. So you see that's there. So how we would present this, there's a little bit up here that says record slideshow. So what you want to do is click on the slide that you want to record, click record slideshow, and then what you can't see is I've got two screens here. There's a little, on the other screen there's a little record button, and it gives you some options there. So what you want to do is click on record, it'll count down, and then once you're ready you can start presenting that slide. So for this example, here's our solution. All our users will have access to the central database, which is backed up and augmented by our cloud platform. All your staff will have 24-hour access, 365 to the office help and training, and that's via desktop and mobile application. The software as a service, dedicated software as a service applications will be these, and they'll also include our other third-party cloud-hosted applications. In addition to that, you'll also benefit from our directory of HR applications via desktop and mobile. And all of this is hosted, protected and managed by our best-in-class Active Directory. Okay, so once you've presented that, you just escape out of that, and then instead of file save, if you go up to file and export, you can export this. If you, down the bottom here it says PDF. If you go to MP4, then it'll give you some further options. So this is full HD, but if you're on a PC, I believe you can go up to full 4K on this as well. So then click export, and this will take a little while. So depending on how big the solution diagram is, how long it is, and what quality you choose, this could take a bit of time. So you just need to give this a while to export. Okay, so once that's exported, you can create a completely separate slide or a separate presentation, and then go to Insert and Video from File, find your recording and insert it in there. Now on the playback option, you've got an option to trim video, and you can set it exactly, where you want it to start and end, and trim that. Okay, and in here as well, you can play in full screen and automatically, which is always a good option. And then basically, yeah, you can either use that, export it like that, or the other thing that's really good to do, so you get a bit of personality in there, is to record separately while you're recording this, is to record a video of yourself presenting, just like I am now, and add it to the top left-hand portion. You'll notice that when I created this, there's a little bit of space up here to put a shot of a person presenting. So what you'll need to do is put that onto the same slide and then get the two things working together, make sure the audio is synced up. And once you've done that, and you can trim it until you've got the audio exactly right, you can export the whole thing as a video. The other thing that's nice to do with something like this is to put some incidental music, some background music on there, because it kind of just some royalty-free music. There are plenty of sites where you can get it from, just to keep the thing moving along nicely. So what I'll do now is I'll just cut to a version of this that I just presented with the video on it, with some background music, and you can hear how that all works together. And then I'll go back to Kim. All our users will have access to the central database, which is backed up and augmented by our cloud platform. All your staff will have 24-hour access, 365 to the office help and training, and that's via desktop and mobile application. The software as a service, dedicated software as a service applications will be these, and there will also include our other third-party cloud-hosted applications. In addition to that, you'll also benefit from our directory of HR applications via desktop and mobile. And all of this is hosted, protected and managed by our best-in-class Active Directory. So you can see, hopefully you can see there by using equipment you've already got available, a camera, a tripod, and then possibly some kind of lighting, a good microphone, and a bit of PowerPoint know-how. You can pull something together that's a bit more cohesive and a bit easier to understand than a static diagram. And you can use it in loads of different ways as well, so it doesn't just have to be for a bid response. It could be because you want your CEO to introduce a pitch presentation that you're going to, but he's not available to come along. You could get it to record a quick introduction for you. Other things like that, and other things to remember is it doesn't just have to be an animated slide. You could use video, as you can see just here, to really good effect, and really create something quite good. This is something that one of our directors did for a webinar earlier in the year. So yeah, I'm going to pass back to Kim now, but hopefully if you've got any questions, just ask me after the video's finished, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. We're now going to talk about some top tips to help you bring your videos to life. Location. With mobile devices with cameras, there's no need to restrict yourself to staying in the same place. This video was filmed at the Harlequins rugby ground in Twickenham. Filming at such a venue created a great and exciting atmosphere. At times there were players running around in the background, which created some great movement. Lighting. Lighting can make or break a great video. Always try and use soft lighting. Try and avoid downlights that are in your ceiling. These can cast horrible shadows. Natural light is a great resource which is readily available. Try and avoid harsh sunlight. Always opt for some nice soft light. Maybe choose to do your video at a certain time of day when it's not so bright. Typically this could be in the morning or in late afternoon. There are also lots of products available on the market. You could invest in a cheap LED panel light. These are very inexpensive and very easy to use. Duration. The duration of your video is very important. It could determine whether someone has not taken away what they need to from your video or whether they've watched too much and have become bored. Typically your video should be between 45 to 90 seconds, obviously depending on the nature of the subject. How do we deliver videos once we've taken them? Well, these could be in a variety of ways. Word, PowerPoint or PDF files. Videos can be embedded into these documents. One advantage is that the videos can be placed in specific areas within the document. For example, in the foreword, a video could be inserted from the director or CEO. Or, in the solution, as we previously showed, a diagram coming to life showing how the solution would work. Video books can also be used. The physical book will include an LCD screen to which the video has already been loaded up into. It comes with a set of simple navigation buttons: forward, play, stop. The book can also host a document. For example, it can have a wallet in which you can include an exec summary or some kind of literature. To distribute digitally, you may wish to email, file transfer, or host the video online. For larger file sizes, a file transfer service may be a better option. You would simply upload the file and then be presented with a link which can then be shared. But please note, you may need to check your company's firewall or security settings to do this. In summary, we could break down the video process into 3 main steps. Firstly, identify what content could be used to create video. Could it be a message from a senior member of a team? Could it be a testimonial from a client? Or a solution diagram? Once you have decided on your content, it's time to produce it. Could you be doing this yourself? Or could you be using an external company? Now you have all your video content, think about how you will distribute this. Look back at some of the ways we showed you earlier and ensure whichever method you do choose works for your client. We hope you've enjoyed watching our webinar on how to use video to great effect in bids. We hope you've learnt some tips on how to improve your current video capability, or if you're not using video, how to start using it in your bid world.
So I think there was a question earlier on from Andrew, which was about the optimum length for a video when used either in an exec summary or instead of one. I think I'm going to be joined by Kim and Andy. I'm not sure they'll know the answer to this. I'm not sure I do. An optimum length for the video when it's used in an exec summary or instead of one. Any suggestions?
Yeah, it's a hard one to kind of define. I think it depends on what you're going to cover, but typically I would say probably not more than a minute. But like I say, it depends what you're going to kind of cover. So I would personally kind of create a video, watch it back yourself, and ask yourself, is this long enough? Does it feel long enough? Yeah, I think and get a second opinion on it. But typically, I think with exec summaries, the shorter and the cleaner you can keep it, the better.
Yeah, and I think it might have. I think the weirdness of the video jumping on that session, you were just talking about your top tip on duration, and I think you do say in there, don't you, that sort of somewhere around a minute is good from an attention perspective. So that probably would answer Andrew's question there, that somewhere around a minute included in an exec summary would probably be appropriate. And in terms of instead of an exec summary, then maybe it's almost like a covering. It's not necessarily completely instead of an exec summary. It's, I guess, to bolster it more than anything else.
That's right, yeah.
Ross has asked about if there are any potential, how do you manage any potential legal issues when submitting a video, such as what you're really offering and what you include on the video? And I think to answer that one off, Ross, I wouldn't be putting anything different in the video to what you're putting in your offer. They need to absolutely support each other and back one another up. I don't think one should be different to the other. So I don't think you should include something that's not part of the offer in the video. I would keep them very much in sync with each other. Good question here from Alison for you guys. In terms of using videos in your proposals, do you recommend embedding them or sending them separately? You got any view on that?
Alison, I think it depends on the file size of your video. I think large file sizes are probably going to be difficult when you're embedding them into things like Word and PowerPoint. I think if it's long, I'd probably not embed it. I mean, you could embed it into a microsite, something like that would work. But something which you're kind of emailing, possibly not. Videos tend to be quite large, so where it's large, I'd probably avoid embedding it.
And I think we, again, in the tips, and it might have been, isn't it typical? All the questions are about the tips that it get glitched over. But we were saying about, using some kind of like WeTransfer or, some kind of file transfer site is probably a really good way of moving these about as well and sending links to people. That's certainly for this call. That was how we did it to avoid the issue of having to email it to each other. So using some kind of site like that, and obviously WeTransfer is free, so it's a good one for people to use if you're going to be using it intermittently and just sending the odd large file.
Exactly, yeah.
Izzy has said, do you have any tips for developing a video proposal template to use in PowerPoint? Video proposal template. I think potentially, Izzy, there, from my perspective, I think as Andy covered, there are a lot of uses for video, but it's not in lieu of a proposal. So I think it's potentially some kind of solution overview or elements of an executive summary, or having the right person, being able to look into your eyes, as they say, and I think maybe the two need to be used together. So I'm not sure you would have a template as such to use in PowerPoint. Obviously, if your solutions are very much that you can do a similar thing over and over, then you'll be able to reuse part of the content that you've already created and just tweak it as relevant for the particular solution, or potentially even use the same one. But I think for an actual template for a proposal, I'm not sure this is the right medium for that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think PowerPoint is probably something that you would either use for maybe animating a graphic like Andy showed, and then kind of bring that into the fold, into the wider scheme of things. Or if
you're using PowerPoint as your proposal or exec summary, you could embed the video in there as part of that. Then when you click it, you can bring up a full screen or whatever and do it like that. So it would just be a case of putting it in instead of a graphic. So as easy as that. So it doesn't need to be a whole new template just for a video.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, I obviously mentioned about WeTransfer, and Nicola has said that, they host or using Vimeo, YouTube, and then you can send private links. And I think that might potentially answer the question there from Jan Keys about storing the video on YouTube and then making it only accessible for people with that link. I am certain that that's possible to do as well. Yes, and a really good option for this.
Yeah.
You can either only look at it on YouTube if you've got the link, or you can just link it to somebody's YouTube account as well. So only the people you give access to can get that. But that really comes down to whether you've got access to YouTube, because I know a lot of companies don't allow that sort of thing. So that might be a stumbling block.
Yeah, that's very true. And we were just talking about the length there, and Andrew has said the average adult attention span for digital is 40 seconds, which isn't very long, is it?
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
40 seconds. So there you go. There you answered your own question. 40 seconds. So Ross, I don't think you. So you were just saying about the fact that obviously you shouldn't include anything different in the video to the offer, but how is that ensured? I think it's literally the basics of just sort of script it or use the same material for both. Don't let somebody go completely off piste in their video who's not been part of the proposal process. I think it's just making sure that they're parallel and lined up. That's a good question from Alison there. She's saying there's no guarantee that the customer will click on the video or view it. So is there any tips to encourage them to watch it?
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, Kat, it's always something. The video will always supplement something. So I mean, obviously we hope that they will watch it. Try and make it as easy for them to watch as possible. Make the links clear. Maybe make sure that the actual video isn't a massive file size. I think if the video starts in the right way, quickly engage the viewer so they're almost kind of captivated, and I think if a video is edited well, it won't even feel like effort watching it. So I think think about how someone's going to access it, and making your video as compelling, as it just starts off really compelling. And I think that's put you in good.
And I think give it a compelling title. So make sure that the link is something that seems attractive. Have a pertinent, attractive option that's in the that's actually the name of the file. So don't call it 1 2 3 4 A B C D dot blah blah blah. That doesn't seem a bit meaningless, because that might turn people off. But if you make it click me, then I think that's going to be more appealing.
Yeah, I mean, it could be called, personal message from XXX2. So, like saying, Kat, just how you name the file. I think, yeah, definitely.
You can also choose the thumbnail to appear when you see the video initially. So choose, I don't know, a good image of the solution diagram or something that's going to grab people's attention when they see it. So it's not just a blank screen or something.
Yeah, or stick it on autoplay, so they've got no choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Laurie, you say for an exec summary video, what format resonates the best with C-suite audience? Is that animation or an exec talking to a camera, PowerPoint, lifestyle photography? And I think that's about knowing your audience. Like anything for a proposal, there are some people who are going to be more attracted to certain content versus other content. So I think it's about really fine-tuning it and tailoring it to the specific audience that you're sending it to, and potentially even trying to weave something in that's of interest to all the people that are going to be that audience. So if all of the assessors or reviewers or management team or whoever are going to be reviewing the document, and as part of that the video, then I think you need to try and weave something in that's going to be attractive to everybody that's going to review it. So it's all the same elements that you would for a good compelling proposal, and making sure that you really tailor that to the audience. I think the same applies to a video, and thinking about what people will like versus what they won't.
But I think people will always listen to people, won't they? So and then supplement that with some good animation or stuff popping up while someone's talking about it. Don't put all the information up there at the same time, otherwise people will be reading ahead rather than listening to what someone's got to say. So it's kind of a mixture of that I think.
Yeah, that's true. And I think if you are doing a voiceover like you did on your example on that Andy, where you've got the little screenshot of you sort of on the slide, is more engaging as well for most people. So to actually see the person who is presenting talking as well as hear their voice, that's definitely proven to be more appealing, I think, to an audience. So that would probably be a recommendation too.
Yeah, or if you can find a big enough blank wall, you can kind of stand next to a big blank space and actually have the animation coming up next to you. So it's better than just having you up the corner of the screen, which is what I would have done if I could find a space that was quiet enough in my house. But obviously at the moment it's difficult.
Andrew, you said as well that last week the BBC posted about digital intensity. I haven't seen that article, but your question is, do you think we'll switch back to using traditional delivery methods such as print? And if so, what are our thoughts on video screens within printed bids? Well, it's a multi-part question. You're trying to fox us there, aren't you?
Yeah, I think there's we always see these renaissances of formats. I think it will always be there. If you do look at the video, there is I do talk about in how you could use a video book, which basically has a screen inserted into. It's almost like a book. Within that book, there's a wallet. You can kind of host everything in there. You can have your kind of exec summary. You can have your printed document in there. You open it up and the video screen is built in, and it's literally just play. So I guess that's sort of like the best of both worlds. But yeah, I mean, the format is here. We know people are consuming video much more now. So yeah.
I think that lines up to what Andrew said there about attention span, because I think that 40 seconds, okay, that might be digital, but it's proven as well that there's so much bombardment of information that people are now subjected to, that it's very difficult to concentrate on anything for too long. So I suspect that what's in favour at any particular time will potentially, as you say, Kim, there'll be kind of a flavour of the month or flavour of the year or whatever it is, and then it will change, as long as they are all.
Yeah, I mean, give both, and then it's up to the the consumer to work out what they kind of prefer. So, and I guess that sort of covers all bases.
Or ask them. I mean, with this, it's always. I think that kind of covers off a little bit of about what Nicola was saying about how many videos are sort of appropriate in a bid timeline, and is there a limit to a client's patience? I think potentially you could ask them. Certainly, if I was sent a document and was then sent 5 videos to watch as well, I'd be thinking, oh, I've got to watch all those videos as well as read that document. So I think if someone asked me, the idea that somebody was going to succinctly give me a summary, that I could watch, and that was sort of augmented by a written document, then that would be fantastic. So I think you'll be able to gauge it potentially through understanding them and your relationship with them, but you could always just ask them.
Yeah.
And Jan asks, does SP always include video in the proposals that we make and support? Not always, I don't, to my knowledge anyway. No, we certainly still do other media, but it's something that we are seeing more of, I think, guys, aren't we? Seeing more and more in the proposals that we support.
Yeah, we are. I mean, and it's become more popular recently as well. But then it really depends. If it's a portal submission, that sort of thing, then obviously you've got size problems, whether they can access it via a link to YouTube. That's the other question as well. So yeah, it's certainly something that we'll always suggest, but it's not always possible.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, at the beginning of this call, we were talking about Lloyds Banking Group, and I used to work for them, and we wouldn't have been able to access, we couldn't access any transfer sites, external websites at all. So this would have been a waste of effort for me in my old role if I was reviewing. But so I think it depends. It depends on the client, but it's not a given for every proposal, certainly. Now I am going to be posting this correctly without the jumping around onto our website, and I'll put a link onto LinkedIn as well. So if you have additional questions or things that you think would be useful to cover or have comments on, then please feel free to put the comments onto LinkedIn, or to get in touch with any of us as well via email or via LinkedIn, and we'll endeavour to answer any questions that you've got. But otherwise, I think we've come to the end of the questions that are on the chat panel there. Thank you very much for your engagement, everybody. And I think that's probably us. So thanks again. I'm going to close down the webinar, and any questions that you've got, then I'll leave the chat open for another 5 minutes or so to the end of the webinar, and then I can cover anything off there that I need to as well. Oh, Andrew's raising his hand. I wonder if that was by mistake.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.